un hombre va a buscar trabajo como leñador. Y cuando demuestra qué rápido es al cortar árboles, la compañía inmediatamente lo contrata. Era el más rápido de toda la empresa. Podía cortar 18 árboles cada día. Trabaja, trabaja, trabaja. Y un día siente un poco de cansancio porque solamente puede cortar 15. Pero dice, a lo mejor solamente necesito que pase este fin de semana. Pero el lunes solamente puede cortar 13. Y cada vez y cada día puede cortar menos árboles. Y ya no es tan productivo para la empresa y ya no es tan atractivo para la empresa. Está cansado, está de mal humor, se siente mal y no sabe qué hacer porque no puede recuperar esa energía, ese entusiasmo, esa fortaleza. El hombre más antiguo de la compañía lo ve una vez cabizbajo, se acerca y le dice, hijo, lo que te hace falta es afilar el hacha. Afilar el hacha. Pero viejo, eso tarda horas. Perdería yo un día afilando mi hacha. Y el viejo se fue pensando, mientras el hacha de él se quede cada vez más burda, mucho menos va a poder cortar árboles. Todos tenemos que afilar el hacha, hacer un alto. Y para eso hoy todos los empresarios del sureste estamos aquí. No todos, solamente los inteligentes, solamente los que quieren crecer, solamente los que ven claramente en la información, en la diversidad de ideas, una riqueza tremenda que nos impulsa al crecimiento. Hoy estamos aquí entre amigos para escuchar ideas fenomenales. El invitado de honor, Mike Michalowicz, es un agente que de ustedes después me van a decir si no se enamoraron de él como yo o no, porque es entusiasta y sumamente simpático, sabe mucho y tiene un don. Tiene la facilidad de simplificar todos esos problemas que nosotros vemos como insalvables. Estamos contentos, Juan Manuel, Rodrigo y yo, de haber logrado que todos ustedes nos acompañen y espero que al final de esta jornada ustedes estén el doble de contentos de lo que estamos nosotros. Bienvenidos.
El día de hoy iniciaremos el Merida Entrepreneur Summit con la primera plática magistral, Profit First, a cargo de Mike Michalowicz. Mike es autor de los bestsellers The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, The Pumpkin Plan y Profit First. A los 35 años, Mike ya había logrado fundar y vender 2 compañías multimillonarias. Así que sin más preámbulo, les dejo con Mike Michalowicz y la primera plática magistral que se llama Profit First.
Gracias. Gracias. Buenos días. Muy bueno. No hablo español y no hablo inglés. Yo hablo inglés de Nueva Jersey. So if you don't understand me, it's not because of my English, it's because of my New Jersey English. I'm really honored to be here. I've never been to Merida before. You have a beautiful city. You have a beautiful country. And it's a privilege for me to be here. I can't wait till tomorrow. I'm going to tour around. But I want to share a message with you today that entrepreneurs need to know. We, as a society, as people, you and I, are addicted to axioms. Now, that's a unique word that's very rarely spoken anywhere. An axiom is something that we believe to be true because somebody else said it was true. It's what's called a generational truth. Yesteryear, they believed something to be true, so today we believe it to be true because everyone else believed it to be true, and it continues on through society. That's what an axiom is. And if you look back in history, there was a popular axiom about the world. There was a time that we thought the world was flat. It was around 500 BC that mankind, every human being, thought the world was flat. And if you were a sailor and you took your boat out into the ocean, if you went too far out into the ocean, you would fall off of the edge of the planet and die. It was such a strong axiom, such a strong belief, that if you look at old world maps, you'll see monsters and serpents in the corner to encourage sailors not to go too far out into the ocean. And if I told you at that time, 500 BC, that the world was round, you would laugh at me. In fact, people that said the world was round were often killed because of their belief. It was not true to what the world already knew. But then, at this time, Greek philosophers were studying the world, and they found, at least this is how the story goes, one of the philosophers was sitting eating a pear. And as he was eating it with his apprentice, he was looking at the boats going out into the port, into the bay. And as a boat slowly went out into the water, he noticed it would sink below the horizon. And on his pear that he was eating, as he turned it, the spot or spots on the pear would disappear slowly behind the horizon. And as he turned the pear back, it would reappear. And the philosopher looked at the pear and said, if a boat sinks below the horizon and returns, and that's what a pear does, clearly the world must be round. And philosophers started to argue why the world is in fact round, because boats would sink below the horizon and return. And from that point forward, they argued and pointed to how the world was round. And it took us about 1,000 years to finally accept it. And Christopher Columbus and other famous sailors ultimately took that knowledge and used it to discover new worlds. Mexico, the United States, Canada, was discovered because they finally challenged the axiom, the established belief, and found something new. The commerce, business in the old world was what they called coastal commerce. Cancun would trade with Merida. You would stay close to the coast. But once they discovered the world was round, sailors were willing to go around the world. The global economy exploded because of this discovery, and finally people started to use this knowledge. Well, there is an axiom today for entrepreneurs, for us, that we live by, that is killing our businesses. There's a belief so established, it holds us back from being successful. It holds us back from being profitable. What the axiom is that profit comes last. Perhaps you know this formula, and we are told that sales, how much money you make from selling your wedding dresses, I was talking to people that sell wedding dresses earlier, to drilling materials and different products. Your sales minus what you spend, that's expenses, results in profit. Sales minus expenses equals profit. That's what we've been told. And I know every person in this room knows that formula. I know that's how you grow your business. The problem is that is an axiom. You believe that to be true because that's what we've been told is true. There was a study conducted on a global basis of all small businesses. There's about 180 million small businesses throughout the globe. Where I'm from, actually from the United States, there is roughly 28 million small businesses. A small business is a company that does about $25 million US or less. I assume every person in this room has a small business. In this study, the SBA found that 83%, roughly 80% of small businesses are barely surviving. They are not profitable. There's no money left. They survive check by check. Today I make a sale, I spend it immediately, and there's nothing left for me. The vast majority of small businesses are going out of business. And this isn't just true in the United States, this is true here in Mexico, this is true globally. Most businesses are barely surviving. And I suspect if we sat down one-on-one and discussed each business here, that your business is likely the one that's barely getting by. And if it's not you, it's the person sitting right next to you that's barely getting by. Statistically, 83% of us are not working. The reason is not you. I thought for myself it was me. But it's not you, it's not me. It's the formula we follow. Because profit in this formula comes last. And when has last ever been a good thing? If you're sick, do you say, I'm going to put my health last? No, I'm going to put my health first. It is human nature. When we put something last, it gets ignored. When it comes first, it becomes priority. When it comes last, it gets ignored. When it's first, it's a priority. And yet this formula tells us that profit comes last. And there's a fix to that axiom. I'm going to share that with you this morning. But I wanted to first share my own little story. I'm an entrepreneur too. Now I'm an author, but I'm an entrepreneur also. I started my business by myself out of a basement and had the good fortune of growing some businesses. My first business, after many years of struggling, finally got momentum and started to grow. It became ultimately a business doing millions of dollars in revenue, in sales, which sounds so great, but I was surviving check by check. Every time a dollar came in, I was spending it again immediately. There was nothing left. I sold that company, and that's where I finally made some money. My second business was in computer crime investigation. I'm sure many of you have heard of the Enron Trial. My company helped facilitate the investigation of the Enron Trial, among other marquee cases that came through the United States with computer evidence. That company always had lots of sales. It grew very quickly, but the expenses grew just as quickly. It was only when I sold that company to a Fortune 500 did I make lots of money. And I started to believe that this formula works only if we grow really fast and we sell the company at one point, because we won't really make money during the process. And I remember when I sold that business, I remember sitting at this long conference table in this meeting room like this, and we were doing all the negotiating to sell the business, and finally the company that was buying us wrote the check out and gave it to me, and I looked at it. It's like, adios mio, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of dinero. And I went to the bank and I deposited it, and I said, finally, I have figured out what it means to be profitable. The only thing bigger than my bank account that day was my ego. I thought I had figured it out. That day was back, maybe 7, 8 years ago now. This was back in 2006. When I had that money, I thought I needed to show my success. I needed to prove it to everyone. So I moved into the most expensive town I could in New Jersey. I joined the special club where the more money you spent at the club, the higher your name would be on the board. I'm the jefe here. I bought 3 cars on one day. I bought a Dodge Viper, a BMW 7 Series, a Land Rover, all within about 8 hours. You can do that. And I thought that is what entrepreneurial success is, the effects, the wares. And I had the formula figured out. So I decided to become an angel investor. An angel investor is someone that goes to small businesses just like yours, and I'll say, here's some money. Now we're partners, we'll work together. And I worked with dozens of entrepreneurs. Yet there was a problem. I didn't understand that formula yet. I didn't understand that formula was broken. And I told business after business, just sell, sell, sell. Listen to me. I'm the smart one in the room, and we'll be successful. And that business failed, and then that business failed. It was all going downhill. It was so bad that within 6 months, all the businesses I had started were done. Finito, done, wrapped up. And I was still spending money paying bills for businesses that didn't even exist. Within 2 years, I had lost every dollar I made. I was a millionaire in my 30s, and 2 years later, I was nearly bankrupt. I had zero. I heard one person laugh at that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Mi hermana, thank you. We'll drink some tequila together later. So it was on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day, 2008. My accountant called me. His name was Keith, and he said, Mike, we have a problem. And I said, well, what's the problem? He says, you owe $30,000 in taxes to the government, and you have about $5,000 left to your name. I said, that means I can't pay my taxes. What do I do when you can't pay your taxes? He said, no, you just go to jail. And I was like, are you serious? He goes, well, you can go on an installment plan. You can make payments to the government, which, by the way, is worse than going to jail. And that's the day I came home to my family with nothing left. I was sullen, meaning I was sad. I was sobbing and crying because I was so embarrassed. I had not told my family about this. I had not told my wife. I had not told my children that every dollar I had earned was gone. I thought my job as the husband of the household was to support my family, to bring home money, and I was the person who took it away. I have 3 children, and when I got home on February 14th on Valentine's Day, how we celebrated at our house is like a Christmas dinner. We have a big dinner together. We will write cards out to each other showing our amor for each other and how we care for each other. It's a tradition at my house. It's a very exciting day. But I came home and I was just sullen. And my wife looked at me and she said the words that broke me open. She said, what's wrong? I started to cry. I told her I'd lost it all. My children had gathered by this point and they were looking at me and I said it was gone. I had stolen our money. Not actually stole it, but I had spent it frivolously everywhere. There was nothing left. The cars, gone. The house, gone. My children's education, gone. Everything gone. All the businesses, gone. As I sitting at the table, I was crying, and it wasn't like it was gracias. I was sobbing, and my children were just staring at me. My daughter, mi hija, she was 9 years old at the time, ran out of the room, just ran away. And when she ran away, that's what I wanted to do. That was the solution, to run away, just leave where I was. But she didn't run away. She got her piggy bank, her cerdo, right? Little piggy bank. Cerdito? So she came back with her piggy bank and she put it in front of me. And I'll never forget this. She said, Daddy, I'll help us. Yeah, that still gets me, still chokes me up. And it was in that moment I realized there has to be a better way. There was something wrong with me. There was something wrong with us. There was something wrong with that. You know, that's the story, I hate to say, of most entrepreneurs. I hope you never experience that moment where your daughter or son feels they have to save you from your business. But for me, it was this great awakening. In that moment, I realized there had to be a different way. Now, it's not like the next morning I woke up and said, yes, let's get to work and let's fix this. I went through about 2 years of depression, functional depression, which means I could still work, but I would never talk to people. I didn't want to be social. And I watched lots of television. I remember it was at a certain point that when you're depressed, I hope no one ever here has experienced depression. I suspect some of you have. It's not an easy experience. For me, I started drinking a lot. Modelo, by the way, which is delicious. Very good. Más fina cerveza. So I was drinking lots of Modelo, but I don't really drink that much. I was drinking a lot. I remember sitting in my chair looking at the television, and the infomercials were on. I don't know if you ever saw this infomercial with Suzanne Summers, and there's this thing called the Thigh Master. This thing you put between your legs and you clamp. Have you seen this thing? And you lose weight. And I remember sitting watching the television in this chair, drinking my 7th Modelo, and I had Cheetos all over me, and I don't like Cheetos. And I'm looking at the screen, and Suzanne Summers is up there with that Thigh Master. And I said, what am I doing watching television at 2 o'clock in the morning? And as I was watching this commercial, I looked down, and I had purchased the Thigh Master, and I was clapping it together. That was the turning moment. That was enough. My life had hit rock bottom. I turned the channel. On the television came a fitness instructor. It was a woman, and she said to the audience in the television, as she was broadcasting, she said to the audience, do you know those infomercials that we watch? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah. Do you know those products they promote, the Thigh Master? And have you ever seen this one, the belt that goes around your stomach and electrocutes you? You're like, duh. Like you're supposed to get like super fit by getting electrocuted? It works? No. Oh, Dios mío. Now, she goes, those products for most people doesn't work because, except for you, because it requires us to change our natural behavior. We have to sit there doing this all day long. And there's other products too that say, if you exercise for hours a day, you'll get physically fit. And while it may be true, most of us struggle to change our behavior, to become to follow different habits. And therefore, many of us start the program and then we fall off it and go back to the way we were. She said, in fact, if you want to become physically fit, there's 4 ways you can do it, but not change yourself. And she shared 4 principles. I want to share these 4 principles with you because when you understand them, you can also become not just physically fit, you can become fiscally fit. Here's the 4 principles she shared. The first one, she said, do you know in the North American diet, our diet, that our caloric intake, the calories, the amount of food we eat, has increased to double what it was merely 100 years ago or 200 years ago. So back in the colonial days, 200 years ago, we were taking half the calories in. And she explained the reason that we take in more calories today is because our plates have increased in size. The plates we serve our food on used to be this size, it's now this size. And our natural habit is to fill up the plate with food and, as Madre says, eat everything that's on the plate. Clean up the food. And so we do. The natural, normal human behavior is to fill up a plate with food and eat everything that's on it. So, she said, if you want to reduce the number of calories you take, get smaller plates. Reduce the size of the plates at your house. Because what happens is your behavior, your habits can stay exactly the same. But the habit is to fill up the plate, now smaller, and eat everything that's on it. We will take in less calories. We'll lose weight. We'll bring about a balance in our intake. First principle, reduce the size of your plates. The second principle is to eat our vegetables first. Particularly in the American diet, the one I'm most familiar with. When you go to a restaurant and you order your meal, the meat, the carne, and the mashed potatoes, and the vegetables are all served at the exact same time. And how I eat my meals, is I will cut into the meat, my favorite part, I will eat it, I'll look at the vegetables, I'll do that a little later. Hasta luego. Right? I'll eat some more meat. Then, I will take some of my mashed potatoes and cover some of the vegetables just to make it look like I ate something. I eat more meat, maybe play around with the mashed potatoes, and cover more vegetables. I'll eat very little bit of the vegetables. And if we go outside of this hotel this afternoon after they serve lunch, and we look at the dumpster, the vast majority of food waste is the vegetables. Why? Because it's served simultaneously. When things are presented simultaneously, we go for our preference, what we like the most. So she explained in our diets, if we want to improve our physical fitness, is to eat our vegetables first. Serve them first. Only serve a plate of the vegetables and do not serve anything else. We will naturally eat more because it's the only thing available. Then it will fill up some of our stomach space, and when the meat is served and the potatoes, we will eat a reduced amount of that because we already had our vegetables first. Step 1, smaller plates. Step 2, serve the vegetables first. The third step, she told us, is to remove temptation. My temptation's cookies, by the way. Oh my gosh, they are delicious, delicious. De nada. Gracias, everyone. I love cookies. I hope you do too, because they're amazing. They are amazing. But whatever your temptation is, that one thing that you just love to eat, we only have so much willpower, the ability to resist it. We only have so much resistance that we can say before it fatigues and we decide to eat it. Our willpower is just like a muscle. At a certain point, it starts to weaken and you can't do it anymore. Well, this is true for willpower. And with cookies, you can put them in front of me and I'll say, no, gracias. Then I'll say, well, un poquito. And then I'll start eating as fast as I can. So the rule at my house is no cookies. Remove the temptation because I cannot resist it for long. If you want to get physically fit, you must remove the temptation of what you want. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. If you can't see it, you won't consume it. And the fourth and final principle that she shared was the frequency we eat. Most of us eat 3 meals a day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. But she explained, and perhaps you've even heard this, that the ideal frequency to eat food is 5 times a day. Eat a small breakfast. Between breakfast and lunch, have a small meal, then have a smaller lunch, a meal between lunch and dinner, and a smaller dinner. What happens when you have many small meals is you don't go through hunger experiences. You see, when you have a few meals, you become very hungry, so we eat a lot, and then we overeat, so now I can't have any more. Then by lunch, our hunger starts to climb again, and we overeat. We go through what's called peaks and valleys in hunger. Very hungry, overate. Very hungry, overate. But if we do 5 meals a day, it starts to balance out. We don't feel those peaks of hunger, and we start to eat actually less calories. Well, I remember sitting back, Cheetos, Modelo, looking at this, and that's when it started clicking. Perhaps physical fitness translates to fiscal, financial fitness. It does. I want to share with you 4 principles now that you can use in your business to become financially healthy. I also want to tell you that the axiom that you have to know your financial statements inside and out, you have to know all the fancy numbers and stuff, is also a lie from my experience. It's not true. It's just believed to be true because the prior generation said that's how you run a fiscally fit business. There's a much, much, much easier way, and it's based upon these 4 principles. I call the process profit first. Here's what you need to do, or I suggest you do. Step 1, in your business, set up smaller plates. Now, I'll explain what that means in a second. Just by a show of hands, who here for your business has 1 or 2 bank accounts? Okay, most people, good, thank you. So most people have 1 or 2 bank accounts for your business. That's normal. That is typical. But it causes a problem. You see, tell me if you do this. Do you occasionally go onto your phone, You go into your bank account and see how much money is available for your business? Who does that? Okay, normal, normal, normal. Good, normal. That's typical. Many entrepreneurs, most entrepreneurs, we don't read those financial statements. It's so confusing. There's all these numbers. It's easier, it's normal to go onto our bank account and see, oh, I have 50,000 pesos available, or whatever the number is. If you have one bank account or two, it is one massive plate of money. We are serving a large plate, we see what's available, and we automatically, subconsciously consume it. We fall victim to what's called Parkinson's law. And if there's one thing I want you to learn from this event today, from me, is the concept of Parkinson's law. This is a behavioral, it's a behavioral aspect. It's how we behave. And I'm going to give you an example of this. But Parkinson's law, so you know, means that the way we behave around the supply of something is that we will increase our demand to meet its supply. The bigger the plate of food that is served, the more we'll eat. That's what Parkinson's law says. The more available something is, the more we consume. Another example, perhaps, is with time. Say you and I were discussing a project, and you said, Mike, I would like to do the project. I will get you a proposal in 2 weeks. I say, thank you. 2 weeks later, you get me the proposal. But if you and I, the same people, have the same conversation about the exact same thing, but you say, I'll get it to you in 2 days, you'll likely get it to me in 2 days. So nothing changed except for the availability of time. And the more time we give ourselves, the more we consume it. So this is true for food, it's true for time, and perhaps you've experienced it with toothpaste. Just watch your behavior tonight. Just watch tonight. Tonight, when you're getting ready for bed and you pull out your toothbrush, you get your toothpaste, and say it's a brand new tube of toothpaste, a nice big tube of toothpaste. You put a nice long bead. I don't know why you're doing this, by the way, but your problem. You put this long bead of toothpaste on it, right? You put it up there, you open the faucet, turn the water on, toothpaste falls in the sink, and you're like, oh, whoa, that's disgusting. It's bacteria. I have my brand new tube of toothpaste. You pull it out, you put it back on there. I don't know, you got an issue, but you put it on, you start brushing away, right? Everything's good. Now, tonight, if that tube of toothpaste is almost empty, the whole game changes. Now you pull out the toothpaste, like, oh, yay. Okay, then you start pushing it as hard as you can. You bite on the corner. You bend it over the corner of the sink. If you can get one little tiny droplet of toothpaste on one hair of your toothbrush, that's good. And now you pick it up and you're like, oh, I just want to give that a little bit of water. So you turn it on and then the toothpaste falls in the sink. You look around, you scoop it right back. If you are laughing at that, that is because of Parkinson's law. You are living Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law states the more something is available, the more toothpaste I have, the more we'll use. But the smaller, the less is available, the more frugal and the more innovative we become. Meaning, frugal meaning conservative, we use less when there is less. Innovative, we find new ways of getting more out of it. It's funny that a brand new tube of toothpaste will last maybe a month, and an empty tube of toothpaste will last a month and a half. Parkinson's law. If you have 1 or 2 bank accounts for your business, and you log into your bank account to see how much money is available, you are seeing the full tube of toothpaste. It's all available. And our natural behavior is to find a way to spend it. Now, that's not what we say in our head, but that's how we behave. Oh, there's some good money in there. I can buy that equipment I needed. I can finally pay those bills that have been waiting. And the money disappears very quickly. Parkinson's law. Once you know that principle, you can make it your advantage. You can make that natural behavior your advantage by setting up multiple small plates. Instead of one account, let me just pull this way. Oh, I'm good, thank you. Instead of one account, I encourage you to set up at least 5 accounts. Now, the first account we're going to call income. Just so we all know or agree what income is. Income is sales that you deposit into your business. You sell a wedding dress, you get the money for it, you deposit it into your income account. This is going to act, explain in a minute, but it's going to act as a serving tray. I'll explain in a second. There's 4 other accounts you're going to set up. One is going to be profit. We, starting today, are going to start allocating profit first. Starting today, every entrepreneur, every business in this room, especially you, will be profitable. You will be profitable if you take your profit first. Okay, the next account we're going to set up is owner's pay. Who here has employees for their business? Okay, great. You're sitting right up front. What was your name again? Alejandro. Okay, Alex. Thank you for. I appreciate that. How many employees do you have, Alejandro? 13. What's the name of your best employee? Juan. Is Juan here? Oh, thank God. Okay, good. Whew, that was close. Okay, who else has employees? Okay, sir, what's your name? Juan. Oh. Is your best employee Alejandro? How many employees do you have, Juan? 10. What's the name of, who's your best employee? Okay, you and me. I would argue, Juan and Alex, you're both not telling me the truth. I would argue, Juan, you are the best employee for your business, and Alex, you are the best employee for your business. And I suspect if I asked every person in this room who is the best employee, you won't say yourself, you'll say that other person. But think about it for a minute, Juan. I suspect there is not a single person in your company that works as hard as you. I suspect you started your business with, this is true, right? With very little money to no money, yet you worked hard and didn't get paid for it. I suspect, Alex, you've worked through holidays. I suspect you've sacrificed your family. I suspect you've missed events for your children because the business needed you that much for the business to survive. Owners of a business will go to extremes to support the business. We will do anything for it. Yet, if Juan, not this Juan, but your Juan, if Juan said, hey, I'd like to take 2 weeks vacation, I want to go visit some friends somewhere, may I get 2 weeks off, that you would find a way to support that. I suspect you would do whatever it is to keep Juan there because Juan's the best employee. But we don't treat ourselves that way. And what happens often for our businesses over time is we start to resent our business. We don't like our business. It becomes kind of this Frankenstein monster of a business. We just keep on giving it more money and more money. Just don't eat me. Just here, anything I have left, just take it. And we start to hate our business. You are the most important employee of your company. We must treat you that way. So, this third account we're going to set up is owner's pay. Starting today, we're going to treat you, the most important employee of the business, we're going to start paying you appropriately. And we have to do this so you no longer resent your business, but you start to love your business. It starts providing for you. So, first account, income. Second account, profit. Third account, owner's pay. Fourth account is taxes. I've traveled to a lot of countries. I've yet to be to a single country where the government says, we don't want your money, keep it. Every country says, give us your money, we'd love it. But we put a nice word around it, we call it tax. We all have tax responsibilities. The problem is, for most of us, the tax comes out of our pockets, not our business's pocket. And we experience what's called loss aversion. This is another behavioral term. But pretend, for example, I gave you, say, 100 pesos. I'm like, hey, how are you? Here's 100 pesos. You'd be like, oh, gracias, thank you very much. And I said, oh, can I have 50 pesos back? You'd be like, And And you'd hesitantly give me the money back, feeling awkward or uncomfortable about it. Conversely, if I came to you and said, here's 50 pesos, enjoy it, and I just walked away, you'd be, okay, that's very nice of him. In both scenarios, you get 50 pesos. But in one case, I am taking some back, and we experience resistance to that. That's called loss aversion. Once we acquire something and we have to give it away, there's a negative association with that. Muy mal. It's called, and that's what happens with taxes. You earn money and the government takes a piece away. And how many entrepreneurs respond is by doing some crazy things. You can reduce your taxes by spending money here, buying stuff. Just spend money frivolously, anywhere you can, and then the government will take a little bit less of it. Many entrepreneurs I meet, to save a few dollars, say $3 or $4 of taxes, will spend $10 on stuff they don't need. And that's normal because of loss aversion. It's a normal human wiring. So we want to set up a tax account so that your business pays your taxes to the government on your behalf and you never feel it. That's why we set up a tax account. And the last account I want you to set up is called operating expenses. I'll abbreviate it to OpEx, but it's operating expenses. These accounts, I encourage you to go to your bank today and set these accounts up. They're physical accounts. Now when I log into my bank account, I can see how much money is available for different purposes. This is smaller plates. Now how it works is, say today you make a sale and say, we'll say 10,000 pesos come in today. This income account acts as a serving tray. Similar to Christmas dinner, you bring out that beautiful turkey, you put it on the table, you have your familia around you, and you don't say to your family, oh, just dive in on the serving tray and start eating. You apportion it. You cut a piece off and you give it to the madre, to the padre, and you get it all around. You apportion. The income account in your business is the serving tray. You never eat off of this. You never pay a bill out of this. It simply accumulates the money. Then, on a periodic, regular basis, you will allocate money to different accounts based upon percentages. Now, I'll give you a suggested percentage for some businesses. This is not true for all businesses. But for smaller businesses, a common, very financially healthy company will allocate about 10% of the income to profit. Depends on the type or size of business. So these numbers may not work for you, but about 30% goes here, 10% to taxes, and 50% to operating expenses. So now what happens is when the money comes into the serving tray, you allocate. And this is actually the second principle of physical fitness. We talked about the vegetables first. The first thing you do is eat your vegetables. In your business, starting today, the first thing I want you to do when money comes into your income account is don't pay bills, don't do anything. First, allocate it out. Assign the vegetables, if you will, to the different accounts. So 10,000 would come into your account here. You would transfer over, as an arrow, you would transfer over 10% of that. So 1,000 will go into profit. Its sole purpose is to sit there. You would allocate 3,000 here, 1,000 here, and 5,000 here. And this, by the way, are you familiar with the ice bucket challenge? Did you see that when people are, that was ridiculous. The ice bucket challenge. I call this the ice bucket challenge because when I show a business this saying, you have $10,000, most businesses say, I need to spend $10,000. And I say, that's not correct. You only have $5,000 to spend. And that's when people go, oh my gosh, that's the ice bucket challenge. I can't do that. You can. I know you can because of Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law, the toothpaste story, teaches us that whatever is available, we find a way to make it successful. If you only have $5,000, if you only have an empty tube of toothpaste, you will find a way to make it work. You will bend the business, you will push it through, and you'll find a way to make it work. You'll be more frugal, and you'll be more innovative. And I suspect for every business owner in this room, there was a time that's all you made, and you made it work. Everyone's in here. Clearly, you found a way to be successful with what you have. But because most of us just have one account, Parkinson's law, more toothpaste available, we spend more. So the first step in our business, starting today, is once we have these 5 accounts set up, when money comes into the income account, we allocate a percentage to each category, and this is what we run our business off of. Now let me tell you the functions of these other accounts. Owner's pay, this account is for your lifestyle. This is to support your lifestyle. As money comes in here, if you're the only owner of the business, this money comes out to you maybe once every few weeks, however often you pay yourself, and this is to support your house and home and family. Taxes, when your taxes are due, in the United States, it's usually once every 90 days. You may have it more frequently, you may have it less. But this money is reserved for when the government says your taxes are due, the company pays your taxes on your behalf. The profit account is a very special account. This is what I call a celebratory account. This is an account that you use for your own self as a celebration for having the courage to build and start the company that you built and started. This money comes out usually once every 90 days, every quarter as we call it, every 90 days. And the rule I have for profit is simply this. You are never to put it back in your business. It is for you to celebrate. It's for you to go out for a nice dinner, or if it's a lot of money, for a nice vacation. But it's to reward yourself for taking the ultimate risk of becoming an entrepreneur. Now, lots of people like to say, well, can I reinvest it in my business or plow back? We like to use very soft terms for putting it back into our business. And the answer is absolutely not. If you put money back into operating expenses, you're basically telling yourself and your business, I'm not willing to find a way to make it work off of this, so I'll just take it from here. Stealing from Peter to give to Paul, as is often said. So, set these 5 accounts. The third step in physical fitness was to remove temptation, cookies for me. What we want to do is to set up, this is going to get a little bit messy here, but set up a wall, basically, and move money out of our primary bank to a second bank. So I'll call this Bank 2 over here. And move over this money to a second bank where you don't see it regularly. You see, as you start allocating money to these different accounts, the profit starts piling up. The cookies start getting put on the table, and it's very tempting to look at it. So what I'd like you to do is set up at a different bank, a bank you have never worked with, and set up some accounts where you can move the profit from the bank you regularly work with to a bank you rarely work with so you don't see the money. Because when it's out of sight, it's out of mind. I have a friend, he owns a business on Wall Street in New York, and they generate a lot of revenue. They do about $5 million US in annual revenue. That's a nice size business on sales, but he's going broke, or he was going broke. There was nothing left over. It was very stressful. I walked him through this principle. He never had a profit before. He didn't believe this would work, but he was willing to try it, so he started. And sure enough, very quickly, money started piling up. Then one day the bills came, he said, I can't pay my bills. So he went to the profit account, took every dollar there and spent it. When you do that, it defeats the entire system. You see, because when you borrow from these other accounts, you don't have to be innovative. You don't have to find a way to make it work. You just pull money from here and there. So when he took this money and used it in his operating expenses, that was the day we said we have to start this again, and we set up the second bank. What he did is he went to a bank he never worked with before. He went to the bank and he said, I'd like to set up a couple of accounts with you. One to store my profits, another one to store my tax reserve for the government. And the bank manager came out and said, that's wonderful. It's a privilege to have your business. The nice thing at our bank is we have many convenience options. We have online banking, we have starter checks, we have a cash card you get. Very convenient to get your money. And my friend, his name is Peter, said, I do not want any convenience options. He goes, in fact, I want the most inconvenient options you have. And the banker said, what do you mean? He says, I don't want a cash card. I do not want online banking. I do not want starter checks. The only way, when I give you my money, the only way I can get it back is if I come to your bank myself, I ask for you, the bank manager, to come out and meet with me, and you write a bank check to me. And he said, and when I do that, and I ask for money, be sure to slap me in the face a few times first. That's how inconvenient you want it to be. You want it to be very hard to get your own money out. Because when you can't access it, you will find a way to make it work. And you've already done it. That's how you've lived your life. I know you have. You've made it here in this room. That means you've built a successful business, and at times you didn't have nearly enough money, and you found a way to make it work. When you hide your profit away, you will have to find a way to make it work. When you remove your profit and tuck it away, it will force you to be innovative. It will force you to be frugal. It will force you to go back to using your brains for building your business and not your money. I'm an owner in a manufacturing business. We're in St. Louis. And just in case you didn't know what St. Louis was, I don't know why I had to translate that. I don't know why I did that. If anyone wants to give me Spanish lessons, I would appreciate that. So I own a manufacturing business in St. Louis, and we manufacture leather products, belts like this, and other stuff. If you make leather products, you have to go through a process called molding. There's these big machines that come down, and they press out the belts. Those machines cost a lot of money. $10,000 minimally for a press. Well, we could just afford it. We were just getting by. We were never profitable, but we could just afford these big presses to do the work we needed to do. Well, then, one day we said, we started allocating our profit here. We said, there's not enough money left for these big presses. What do we do? Innovation, frugality. We went to the local Home Depot. I saw one coming in, so Home Depot's here. We went to the local Home Depot, and with the few dollars that we had left in our operating expenses, we looked around the store and said, what can we buy? Well, there was a microwave oven on discount. It was $99. So we bought a microwave, and we bought some other things. We brought it back to the shop, and we started experimenting with leather and how to mold it. Now, if anyone's in manufacturing with leather, here's what's not to do. Do not microwave leather. It does not work. But we did find a way, which I will keep secret because this is now proprietary, special to us. We did find a way to superheat leather quickly to allow it to mold and take shape. We can do what these big machines do for $10,000. We can do it for a few $100s and faster. We would have never figured that out if we had the money going into our operating expenses. The more money you have, the less you have to think. The more money you have, the less you have to think. The less money you have, the more you have to think out of the box. And the most successful companies in the world are the ones who think better more than the other guy. The most successful companies push innovation forward. And this is the biggest aha moment I've had with this entire process that I do. The less money you have, the more innovative you have to become, and that means inevitably it will grow your business faster. That was the big surprise, and stronger. You will challenge the norms or the normal industry. You will approach it in a brand new way. That's why you must remove your profit. That's why you must remove your tax. The last principle that the fitness instructor shared when it came to physical fitness was frequency. She said we have to eat 5 meals a day. 5 meals a day. Most businesses, when it comes to our frequency with bills and cash management, we do it what's called ad hoc, meaning when there's time to do it. We look how much money is in our account, and then we see if there's enough money to pay bills, and we quickly pay our bills. If there's no money, we wait. It's a peaks and valleys experience. Are we doing okay on time? C. Okay. What does that mean? I have no idea. Okay. So most of us, we wait till we have enough money, and then we spend it all, and then we wait and wait and wait. And when money comes in again, we spend it all. Peaks and valleys, just like our diet. We eat our one big meal, we overeat, we don't eat for a while, and then we go into starvation mode. So we go to the extremes. What the fitness instructor said is go through peaks and valleys, and we can do the same thing in our business. I call it the 10-25, that's a 2, 10-25 rule. Oh, it's like a Z there, 2. Let's just do it one more time. 20, there we go. Very good. Very good, Michael. It's a 10-25 rule, and here's the rule. For most businesses, 2 times a month, we should be going through the bill and cash flow process. Ideally on the 10th of the month and the 25th of the month. Now, why are these dates so special? Today is, what day is today? The 3rd? 3rd, okay. So today is the 3rd of December. As money comes into our income account back here, every single day, today, tomorrow, let the money just accumulate and pile up here. December 3rd, December 4th, December 5th, just let the money sit on the serving tray. Then, on the 10th of the month, this day, we then do all the allocations, vegetables first, put the money into the different accounts. Then you look on the 10th of the month, how much money is my operating expenses to pay my bills? You pay those bills. Now, why is the 10th an important day? Is because if you send out your payments to your vendors on the 10th, they'll typically arrive by the 15th. That's when a lot of bills are due in the middle of the month. It will treat our vendors, fellow entrepreneurs, appropriately and fairly. That's a good thing. Then the money will start piling up in our income account. Now it's the 11th. We're just starting out again, 12th, 13th. It piles up. On the 25th of the month, the money allocates out again. The income account goes back to 0, and the money allocates out. On the 25th, we see what's available for expenses, and we pay expenses. Why on the 25th? Because our vendors will get their payments usually by the end of the month, when the other half of bills are due. So by getting into this rhythm of doing this process of accumulate money here, then allocate twice a month, 10th and 25th here, we are taking care of our vendors. But something more important happens. And it's called a cash flow rhythm. I suspect every person in this room has been to the beautiful beaches of Merida. I am going tomorrow, or I can't wait. Have you ever done this? The Atlantic Ocean is I'm right outside New York City. The Atlantic Ocean is about 20 miles from my house, so we go there pretty regularly. And what I noticed, I do, and it seems like everyone does, is you go to the ocean and the waves are coming in. You take your chair, your asiento, right? Okay, what's C? No. So you take your asiento, you sit down, and the waves come up. The perfect spot is where the waves just get to your toes. That is the perfect spot. But at a certain point, the waves don't reach you anymore, and you pick up your chair and you hop. I don't know why you do this, but you hop down, and now you're on the spot where the waves are touching you again. And then sometimes the waves come barreling in, they knock you over, and you take your chair and you move it back. We adjust our chairs at the beach to be in the perfect spot. But what we're really doing is we're measuring the tidal conditions, the ocean conditions out there in a very simple way. Just look at the waves. We have the same opportunity with the waves of money. You see, if we allow the money to build up to the 10th, on that day, when you allocate the money out, you will see initially how much money is in your income account. And you'll say, okay, normally I have, say, 50,000 pesos or 100,000, whatever the number is. You see that number. Then it all goes away. The wave washes out and you run your business. It starts building up again, building up to the 25th. And then you see how much money's there again. And you say, that wave is about the same. very quickly, what happens is you achieve this rhythm. Money accumulating, allocates out. Money starts accumulating, allocates out. And then you start seeing the wave pattern of your cash flow. And you will notice automatically, without having to read all those charts and all that fancy stuff, you will know very quickly the day there is a low spot. And it will raise a flag in your mind saying, oh my, something's wrong. It will make you investigate and look to see what's going on with your business. That's a cash flow. That's what all those fancy charts and stuff, that's all they do. Now all you have to do is just look at your bank account and you know if it's on the 10th or 25th, how much money is available. It's much simpler. Other times the money will go above the line and you're like, yes, this is good. But it'll also raise a flag in your mind saying, I wonder what happened. Did a lot of money deposits come in early? Are we selling better? What should we be doing more of? It's the easiest way to monitor the health of your business by doing this on the 10th and 25th. So now you have the basic process. Let me just recap it. First in your business, start with smaller plates. As I asked you earlier, how many people have 1 or 2 checking accounts? Almost everyone raised their hand. Every country, every speech, everywhere I go, it's always the same. You are normal. You are a human being. That's perfect. That means this will work. Set up 5 accounts. Income, profit. Profit is a celebratory account. It's to pay you for having the courage to do what you do here. One of the few exceptional people that have decided to start a business. That's miraculous, and you deserve to be rewarded for it. That's why I have a profit account. Owner's pay account, set that up to pay you to support your lifestyle. Most entrepreneurs, the normal entrepreneur, whatever money's left over at the end of the day, whatever comes last is what they use. Now it's starting to come first. We're going to pay you first, we're going to be profitable first. Taxes, we're going to allocate because the government is going to take it anyway. But I don't want to feel the pain. I started my business and you started yours in part to experience financial freedom, to be free of control. So the company will reserve the taxes and pay on our behalf. And then that 5th account is your operating expenses. Now, a lot of businesses I work with look at the system and they say, but Mike, I've never been profitable before. I've just been getting by. I can't start taking my profit first until I'm profitable. Well, the funny thing is, if you've never been profitable to this point, if you've just been getting by, I know the system will work for you because you are the definition of Parkinson's law. If your business is just surviving check by check, that means you are living under Parkinson's law. You look at the toothpaste and you're squeezing out what's available. So you have to do this and you'll be very successful at it. The second thing is, by taking your profit first, it forms what's called reverse engineering. I own a manufacturing company, we make a belt, but what we do is first, if we're making a new belt, we will make a prototype of it, the exact way we want it. Once we figure out the prototype, we reverse engineer the steps to get there and make it happen over and over again. If you start allocating your profit first, you will automatically start reverse engineering your way to make it happen every single day. So it will work for you. Now, other businesses say, Mike, but I have tons of debt. I owe credit card debt. I owe friends money. What do I do if I have debt? Let me show you how to handle that. Most businesses, I'll tell you about my own business experience. I had, in my second company, at a certain point, I had about $50,000 of credit card debt. That was overwhelming. That makes me shudder still. Of credit cards. I had $12,000 of loans from family, which makes Christmas very uncomfortable. I had, you know what I'm talking about. I had, say, $25,000 of bank loans. I borrowed money from a savings plan of about $3,000 that I had that I have to pay back by law. And I had another small miscellaneous loan of about $500. Now, the traditional way of paying debt is we're told, look at your debt and figure out the interest rates. You know, credit cards can charge 12, 15, 20%. A loan from family is very inexpensive. Sometimes it's 0%, plus a few arguments at the dinner table. A bank loan is maybe cheaper, 7% debt, and maybe this was also 0%, and maybe this personal loan was, they say, 5%. The logical way to address your debt is you look for the most expensive debt, 12%. This costs you the most to do it. So logically thinking, this is the debt to tackle first. Just remember this. We are not logical beings. We are behavioral beings. While logically this makes sense, this won't support our natural behavior. There's a better way, and there's actually an entire book about this by another author named Dave Ramsey. He wrote a book called The Debt Snowball, or about the debt snowball. And what he argues in this book is behaviorally appropriate. Don't worry about how much you owe percentage-wise first. Worry about the size of the debt. Instead of paying your debt off in the order of the percentages due, pay them from the smallest loan to the highest. So take your debt and resort it. So you have $500 is the smallest one, then $3,000 is the next, then $12,000, right? You're with me now? Then $25,000, and then the last one is $50,000. So sort your debt out from the dollar amount due, smallest to biggest. Then what you do is from your operating expenses, back here, run your business and use the money to pay the debt as best as you can. Every loan will usually have a minimum payment. So pay the minimum amount due to sustain the debt for each one. And any money you have left over, pay everything you can to eradicate this smallest debt first. So maintain the minimum payments due on all of them, and any money you have left over, use to tackle that smallest debt first. When the profit distribution comes out, use the majority of it then also to pay your debt. You must always reward yourself. You must always, when profit comes out, reward yourself. But if you have debt, we need to eradicate that once and for all. So we'll also use a portion of the profit when it gets distributed to hit the debt. But what we do is we pay as much money as we have left over, we use to pay the smallest debt first. Why? Because you'll have an early win. And it's human nature, when we have a success, it motivates us to have another success and another and another. So very quickly, we'll say you're paying $50 a month here to maintain this debt. We'll say you're paying $200 on, we'll just say on each other one to maintain. I know you can barely see this, it's so small. But you're paying $50 here minimum, and you're paying $200 on these to maintain. Then you target extra money you have. The profit distribution comes out. You use a large portion to eradicate the debt and some to reward yourself. But at a certain point, this debt is removed. Now, this small amount of money that you were always allocating every day to this 50 debt gets to the small debt gets added here. So no longer is this 200, it's now 250. So you're actually addressing this debt more aggressively, more frequently. The profit comes out, you whack it. Now it's 250 plus 200. Now you have 550 going here. More, you're hitting this debt more aggressively. Profit comes out, you hit it. Now it's 550 plus 200. It's $750 that you're paying minimally to pay this debt, and you hit it again. It builds momentum. If you have debt, you're normal. But if you're paying debt by interest rates, you're trying to address it the logical way, and that never or rarely works. Instead, sort your debt from the smallest amount to the largest amount. Two more things I wanted to share before we wrap up. When I tell people about this profit first system, hopefully it's starting to connect with you. Hopefully you're starting to see a new way, far easier way to do this. Some people jump into this and say, this is amazing. I'm going to set these 5 accounts. I'm going to do all this stuff, the different percentages. And then the next day, they're like, this is just overwhelming. It's too much. I'm not going to do it. And they abandon it. That's also normal. There was a study conducted about people looking to get physically fit through running. And what they did with half the group, they said, we want you to start running about 5 kilometers a day. And if you run 5 kilometers a day, you're going to get physically fit. Now, these are people that have never run before. The other group, they tried a different thing. Now, I suspect you wouldn't be surprised. Those people that were told to run 5 kilometers a day, the failure rate was very high. After running 2 or 3 weeks, people just gave up. They're like, this is too much, it's painful, it hurts. The other group, they did something radically different. They said, how often do you go and watch TV? Everyone in the group said, I watch television, pretty much every night for a few hours. They said, are you willing to stand instead of sit while you're watching television? People said, yeah, that's so easy, of course. What the researchers did was not raise the bar, set a high standard, they lowered the bar and set a very low, easy standard. While this group over here, the ones that were running, the failure rate within a month was about 90% of the people had stopped running. It was too much. The success rate here was about 95%. All they had to do was stand when they watched the television, so people started doing it. They went back to that group about 2 weeks later and said, how are you doing? Everyone said, pretty well. I'm standing watching television. They said, are you willing to just walk in place, just kind of lifting your legs and stuff? Why? Now you're standing anyway. Are you willing to do this? And the people said, yeah, sure, I can do this. And I'm sure you're not surprised. A month later, they said, we'd just be willing to do this while you're in place. And start doing jumping jacks. And every month, they added just a little bit more. Within 3 months, those people, about 80% plus, were running 5 kilometers a day. Small steps. If you want to be successful and profit first, while this is the ultimate solution to your business, it may be too much, too intense, too fast. I may be asking you to run 5 kilometers a day and it's going to hurt. Instead, I am encouraging you, inviting you to lower the bar. If you want to be successful, profit first, if you want to try it, I ask you start with one thing today, actually. Go to your existing bank and set up one account, and we're going to call it profit. Allocate 1% of your income to the profit account, and that's it. Then when your money comes in, say 10,000 pesos come in, 1% is 100 pesos. That's nothing. Who cares? Put in the profit account. I know you'll find a way to run your business off of 9,900 pesos. If you can do it on 10,000, you can definitely do it with 9,900. There's no question. But what's going to happen is very quickly you'll start building confidence, because for the first time you'll see my business has a profit. All right, it's not a big profit, but it's a profit nonetheless. Then you're going to start marching in place and do 2%. Then you'll start running within the year and have 10, 15% in profit instead of these other accounts. To be successful, don't go all in on this. That's running 5 kilometers a day. Start slow, lower the bar, and then never stop. And the last tip I wanted to give you is accountability. At the end of the day, when it comes to fitness, if you want to get physically fit, the most successful way to do it is to work with someone else that also wants to get physically fit, to partner on it. Because there's days you wake up and the rain is coming down and you don't want to go outside, but your friend calls you on the phone and says, I'm outside waiting for you. Come on. And you're like, oh, God. And you go. The beautiful thing about what Maru has produced here is you have a network of your equivalent friends, your colleagues, other entrepreneurs. This gathering is very rare that you have people just like you who get you and have lived through what you lived through. They are your best accountability partners. Match up with another entrepreneur. And my tip, by the way, is to match up with someone that you're not even necessarily friends with. Because a friend will let you get by. If you work out with a friend at the gym, someone you know very well, they may call you and say, hey, it's raining. Why don't we go to Starbucks instead? Oh yeah, sure. Let's go to Starbucks. And it falls apart. But if you and I are doing this together and I say, hey, it's raining outside, we got to run. You're like, I don't even know this guy. Okay, we'll run. You know what I'm talking about. You really like Starbucks, don't you? So the key is to match up not with friends, but colleagues, people that you don't know but have the same goal. You will be the best accountability partners. I know of 2,000 documented companies that are doing profit first. I work through speeches like this, and if you do profit first, please email me. Maru can give you my contact information. I want to know about your success. I will support you in any way I can. You are kind of like that Greek philosopher. You know, that Greek philosopher sat down there, he's eating his pear, he sees that the world is round, and he says, hey, the world is round, everybody. And that's when they started throwing stones at him, and they killed him. Because he was challenging an established belief. The world is flat. And it took centuries to fight it. When you go to your accountants and say, I want to start doing profit first, they will laugh at you. They will say, you're a little bit loco. Right? They will say, you're crazy, because that's not the way we do it. The schools say this is how we do it. We've been told to do it a certain way. Follow the logical approach. You're kind of like a Greek philosopher. It will take courage. People will look at you awkwardly, and that's why we need the support of each other. But if you do this together, and I now have at least 2,000 companies that have written to us and documented this, you'll be wildly successful. You will eradicate entrepreneurial poverty, where money comes in and it goes out and there's nothing ever left for you. You have a true opportunity here. I hope you do it. Gracias. 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 Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Mike. Y ahora tendremos una sesión de preguntas y respuestas. No sé si alguien tenga alguna pregunta, si la escribió en el papel. Tenemos varias personas encargadas de recoger las preguntas. Okay. If you have more bills to pay than the money you have at the debt account.
Normal. You are normal. That's typical. When you do this, and you realize you can't pay your bills, that is your business talking to you. Actually, your business is shaking you and trying to wake you up, saying, you cannot run your business this way. You cannot do it. And there'll be a certain point where you will find a way to make it successful in the old way we ran business. If you keep on paying bills that you can't afford, that money must be coming from somewhere, so it usually comes from credit and loans and so forth. And one day, that credit and loan dries up, and that's the moment you wake up and you find a way to make your business work. So, if you can't pay your current bills, that is your business screaming at you saying, please find a new way, become more innovative, become more frugal. And if you implement profit first, that hard day won't come a year from now when there's no credit left. It'll come this afternoon when there's no operating expenses left. Okay. Good question.
Another question. Taxes are 10% in your scam, and Mexico is about 35%. It still applies?
Right, so the percentages are different. And the considerations for taxes, and I don't know if it's true in Mexico, but in the United States, we have two types of taxes. We have what we call corporate tax, the business owes a tax, and we have personal income tax. I suspect it's very similar here. Your business pays both taxes, your personal responsibility and the corporate responsibility. Those percentage I gave you is just an example. What we want to do is start off by lowering the bar, just starting 1% to profit, and watching and observing your business and figuring out what do we think is the appropriate percentage for taxes, and then start. But if it's 35% ultimately in taxes, don't necessarily start there, start lower and start building up to it. Because again, if we start putting all this money aside for taxes, all this money for profit, and there's nothing left to run your business, you're going to have that problem where there's no money to pay bills, and it's going to be too intense, too fast, and it's going to fall apart. So slowly build to your tax responsibilities.
Is it valid to, besides innovating, to rethink pricing of products?
Yes! See! Yeah. So there's two ways to make more money. The obvious way is to cut expenses, not pay as many bills. The not obvious way, but more important, is to increase margin, meaning make more money, sell for more. Increasing prices is part of it. Becoming more efficient, being able to do the same things faster and easier is a big part of it. The biggest opportunity almost always is increasing margin. So when you do this profit first system and there's not enough money comes to the bottom line, yes, cut costs, you'll find those very quickly today and you can do that. But every single day, think about how can I make more money, how can I sell for a bigger dollar amount, or how can I deliver what I'm delivering with less effort? And that's what's called margin, and that's where the biggest opportunity is.
Okay, another question. When you have debt, sometimes the bank sets you a date payment that you can pay monthly. Should I pay it before time?
Yeah, so what I just heard is if your bank says to you, if you pay a certain amount of money every single month, after 5 years, you'll pay the debt out. I encourage you to pay your debt as quickly as possible, but without damaging your business. So as we do this profit first system, we look at the debt we have. The smallest loan we want to pay as quickly as possible. And if that small loan is 10,000 pesos, something insignificant but small, and the bank says you have 1 year to pay it off, but you can pay it off in a month, pay it off. Let's get rid of it, and then let's take that money and start allocating it to the next loan. So if you can pay your debt faster, yes, we want to eradicate debt. Now, some people hear me and they say, Mike, are you saying never have debt, like never borrow money? In most cases, it's not a good idea from my experience to borrow money, unless you are doing something that is proven to make more money. And if I put $1 into it, it's guaranteed to give me back $2. That's the time I take on debt. If something is generating profit for me, it's very profitable, and if I have more of it, it'll be more profitable, that is when I take on new debt. Most businesses take on debt they never should. It's just because I wasn't taking my profit first. It's just because this is the way I always do things. I need more money. No, don't take on that debt. Find a better way to do things. I know you can.
I have one more question. I am a little bit confused about the difference between profit and owner pay.
Yeah, good.
You were talking about creating more bank accounts and everything, but then I thought, that's gonna generate more expenses because I will have to pay a month rent to every bank and maybe for every account. What's your opinion about that?
Okay, so 2 questions in there. First of all, multiple accounts, your bank may come back to you and say, well, we charge a fee. You have to pay different money for these accounts. I've yet to find anywhere in the world where this isn't true. You can find a new bank, and you'll be surprised how many banks are willing to not charge you a fee. Where I am, usually it's a smaller bank that will do it. You can meet with the bank manager too and say, I just want to set up more accounts and do more business with you. Why don't we remove those fees? It's negotiations, and many banks will remove it. So if a bank says we're going to charge you fees, don't just accept that. You're an entrepreneur. Change, fight it, innovate. Don't accept it. In regards to the difference between profit and owner's pay, owner's pay is the money that goes to you because you work inside the business. You are also an employee, and you are the most important employee, and so we need to allocate money for the work you do. The profit account is different in that this is rewarding you for taking the risk of starting a company in the first place. You invested in a business, it just happened to be yours, and you put your time and maybe some money into it. So the profit is a reward for taking the risk. This is pay for doing the work. That's how they're different. Pay comes out twice a month, or however often you do payroll, maybe once a month. It comes out, and this supports your life standard. This is what you pay for your house and home and whatever you do. Profit comes out 4 times a year at the end of the quarter, and it simply is a thank you from your company for starting the company in the first place, for taking the ultimate risk of starting a business. And that's a reward. This comes out to celebrate. Go on an amazing vacation. If you're just starting out profit first and you have like 100 pesos, it's like a great day at Starbucks. But celebrate with it. Do something above what you normally do. Some people elect when profit comes out to put it into their own personal savings for when they retire. That's fine. But this is a reward for taking the risk of starting a business. This is your pay for working inside the business. That's how they're different. Okay.
Another question. Mm-hmm. If I want to invest and expand the business, where do I get the money?
If I invest...
I want to invest and expand the business. Where do I get the money?
Where do you find the money? Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that's a whole different conversation. So if you want to grow your business, before you invest, again, remember what is already working in your business and is proven to work, meaning it's already profitable. The power of that is you can go to traditional lenders, a bank, and say, here's what I'm doing that's already working and making money. Would you lend me money? Then it becomes, very obvious. So many entrepreneurs go to a bank or a lender and say, I want to grow my business. Would you give me money? And the banker is confused, like, how do I know this is going to make money for me? So you want to be able to prove to yourself and to others that you have something that already makes money. And by putting more money into it, it'll grow it even further. Then the traditional sources are banks, credit cards, traditional lenders. But perhaps you may want to consider angel investors. An angel investor, just to define the term, is often an entrepreneur like yourself who's been very successful and is now looking to invest in other businesses. They offer something that's an advantage over traditional lending because they often have contacts. If I invest in your business, I also may know other people that could start working with you. And so look for non-traditional sources like other entrepreneurs. Another area to look that many people don't think about is your best client. What if you have a client that buys from you all the time? What if you go to them and say, hey, we're very successful, we're making a lot of money, not off of you, the other clients, but we're making a lot of money and we want to grow it, and since you're our best client, would you be interested in participating in this? Sometimes you'll be surprised your best clients want to pony up. And by the way, when they invest in you, then they really want to buy a lot from you because they're part of the business. And the last opportunity that I've used to grow my businesses when I needed money and I had a way to make money was I went to a company that one day would buy me. The company that bought me, you won't recognize the name necessarily, but it's called Robert Half International. They're a Fortune 500 company. As I started building my computer investigation business that did the Enron Trial, I went to Robert Half and said, our business is growing quickly and we think one day we'd be a perfect addition to your company. Would you be interested in investing in a small portion of our business so you can get a feel for how we're running our business and perhaps support us? And sure enough, that company took a small portion of our business and started investing. So perhaps you can go to a large business that one day can acquire you and they test the waters by giving you a small amount of money. The funny part is, now that they're vested or interested in your success, chances are they will be the company that buys you out in the future.